Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, your choice of beverage. Don't forget the Kool-Aid for the kids. Get your tablets, your notepad and your pencil, your pills, headache and heart pills if you need. If you need to, call your neighbor, call your friends, call your mama and your papa, your grandma and your grandpapa, your auntie and your nene, your nieces and nephews. Let them all know that Simon Says is on. Buckle up. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode. Welcome back, folks. Join with me as I empathize with the Prime Minister, the government, and the people of Jamaica. Jamaica was devastated by Hurricane Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane that made landfall on the island's southwestern coast. The hurricane brought catastrophic winds, torrential rains, and life-threatening storm surges, causing widespread destruction and flooding. Homes, hospital, and public infrastructure were severely damaged, with reports of roof being blown off and buildings collapsing. Over 530,000 people lost electricity, with 77% of Jamaica public service customers affected. Communication disruption, internet access dropped to 40% of normal levels, and many communicates were cut off due to blocked roads and down communication towers. At least 8 deaths were reported thus far, with multiple injuries and people still missing. Estimated damages ranges from 22 billion to 52 billion, with potential long-term impacts on the island's economy. The Jamaica government has declared the island a disaster zone and is working to provide aid and support to affected communities. Folks, let's all give whatever we can, as little as it might be, to help out our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. I know things are rough with us out here as well. We have our own little hurricane taking place here, Hurricane NDC. But let's see what we can do for Jamaica. As I said, as small as it is. Hey, Jamaica, sending lots of love and positive vibes your way. Take care of each other. And folks, look for the websites where you can donate. Or I'm not sure if NADMA has something going on, but let's try our best to see what we can do for our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. Donate, donate, donate. In other news, well, Cindy's daughter and her NDC administration has lost yet another case. We await the damages slash settlement hearing, which is set for December 2025. That's another big one, folks. So we'll keep it on the wraps until such time. If you look on your screen, you would see a video, or videos rather, of very hazardous job done with the whole Progress Pack saga. Now, the only word to describe that is hazardous. And if you look among the exposed wires and so, look behind that, You would see a standpipe. Now that's where persons using the field, both children and adults, that's where they quench their thirst. They go to quench their thirst. I mean, of course, those who didn't carry their water with them, that's where they go to quench their thirst. So they have to go pass through these wires, to go to quench their thirst. All in an effort to tick boxes because we're running out of time, right? So we're ticking. Some person's child or someone's mom or dad, brother or sister can get electrocuted in the process. Where are the adults in this administration? Was there a supervisor on the job? Another botched job. The lights are too low, too close, too many. So says the experts. But what did number 10 say? The contractor say it's good. In this GBN news item.
Was the cart put before the horse with the installation of lights at Progress Park? The elephant in the room. That is how Gerald Sincere termed the promise of a synthetic track for Progress Park.
Progress Park is one of the better cricketing fields in the island. But we also want to put on a synthetic track in Progress Park. So there is some contention there, but we're not addressing it.
During the recent consultation on the future of Progress Park and sport in St. Andrew, the debate got intense between community activists, sport representatives and enthusiasts on what should be the plans for Progress Park.
So if we decide to put a synthetic track in Progress Park, then we would need to get another park, develop it to a high standard as Progress Park is, so that we can play cricket.
Progress Park transcends the realms of sport and even culture into the socio-economic livelihoods of the residents of St. Andrew, who share a deep connection with the most popular playing field in the parish. Local resident Claude Douglas added that the plan for a mini stadium at Progress Park is no longer viable, with the developments made since 2007 and the selling of lands for residential purposes. He highlighted the existence of a pump which needs repairs for the upkeep of the facility to be included.
Even as we discuss again on development without management is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. So if we're going to develop there must be a management, and I'm talking about a day-to-day staff.
Critical to the discussion was the future of cricket, as well as cultural and other activities, if the decision to install synthetic tracks becomes a reality.
I'm not sure the best thing now is to move away from it. Then again, let's take into consideration what cricket has done for Grenada. I mean, this is what put us on the map. And he started with Juna, he started with Royal, Grenada is looked at very high on the map in terms of cricket. We are seeing now that there's lighting in the stadium. And I guess most of us will know that there's a thinking that one of the franchises will be down here. There's something about Grenada. So it means that we are looking to develop, we are looking to expand cricket in the country. And you wouldn't want to take away one of your major venues at this point in time. Look at what that has done for our players. St. Andrews is the mecca of cricket in Grenada. They had as much as 40-something teams playing cricket in St. Andrews.
Rafael Coney, a representative of the Grenada Cricket Association, also had concerns on how the lights were erected at Progress Park.
One is the height of the lights. It therefore means cricket can't be played there in the night. The lights going to be mashed up. It's too low. The other factor with that is that the lights are so close to the field, the amount of heat that will be given out. Because you look at the magnitude of the lights, those are not small lights. That's a lot of lights. We look at CPL, and you could see the athletes, the cricketers sweating and wetting, like if it's rain. And that's highlight. No, Progress Park is smaller. The lights are much lower, I think about 70, 75 feet. And it's very close to the playing area. So one tells you the amount of heat that we're giving out there, it would create a challenge for the athletes. It's a real challenge.
Sports Minister Delma Thomas welcomed the contributions from stakeholders and community representatives to the future of Progress Park, noting that this was the rationale for the consultation.
We must make some decisions because we have not made it. I've heard back and forth that we made a decision, and we did the lights, and maybe you are telling us now that it's not for cricket, and maybe you are correct. But I'm on the phone with the contractor trying to ascertain whether that is factual or not, or whether the light could go higher. And he asking, Madam, can you call me? Because he's still saying that it can be used for cricket.
She promised a follow-up meeting involving the consultant who led the installation of the lights within the next 2 months. I am Gerard Joseph, reporting.
And as we are number 10 and making decisions. Grenada was offered a few cricket matches in November 2025 through the Ministry of Sports. I guess number 10 turned it down without consulting with the cabinet or the prime minister, because I guess it's him anyway that has to make the decision. Number 10 turned down the cricket matches. So the people was like, what, Grenada? So they contacted the prime minister directly. He never heard of it. Well, I don't have to tell you what happened next, but the cricket matches, we're going to have the cricket matches in November. That's all I would say. Number 10, too out of order. Too out of order. Folks, this week, on Tuesday, the 28th of October 2025, was an all-time low in the Parliament of Grenada. The new session of Parliament opened on Friday, September the 12th, 2025, with the delivery of the throne speech by Governor General Dame Cecile Lagrinade. Now, the rules of the Parliament states that at the first sitting, the different committees, to manage the people's business must be formed. The schedule, a standard schedule that is, for the Parliament was set. There were two settings set after the throne speech. As a matter of fact, two first. After the throne speech, that one was Tuesday, the 16th of September, and the other Tuesday, the 21st of October. Then there was also one for Friday, the 25th of October, all of which was postponed. If you remember, the Prime Minister said when he was on DM the PM, we played that clip for you, that he would speak further on the whole airport, Morris Bishop airport saga, with the US wanting to store their stuff there. He said that he would further explain in chronological order at the Parliament on Friday. Well, it was postponed from Friday to Tuesday, the 28th of October. Right? Now, they were postponed with no consultation with His Majesty's opposition in relates to the change and the dates and the new dates. So the government side of the Parliament, they just going ahead and do things on their own like there's no opposition, right? The opposition being a creature of our constitution. I tell you, they might as well suspend our constitution. I've been saying that because they totally ignore the laws of the land. They totally ignore it. So it was put to Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025. However, His Majesty's opposition, they never received the documents until the evening of the 27th of October 2025. And what they received actually was a link where they would have to go search for the documents that was needed for the parliament. The evening of the 27th of October 2025. Now, of course, they can't deliberate on any of those documents, of those legislations that they want to table on the Tuesday, the 28th of October. Now, according to the leader of government business, His Majesty's opposition, the members of the opposition, he agreed, did not receive their documents until the evening before, right? It was agreed. They've noticed that they did not receive the documents until then. Now, he also made it clear that the members needed to have their documents in hand 7 days before any sitting, right? The formation of committees is a requirement of the House. Committees to be formed in the first sitting. The leader of the opposition brought awareness of that to the House, and the Speaker of the House acknowledged and agreed that that's the procedure and that is what should happen. So never mind they couldn't deliberate on the bills, because as I understood it, coming from both the leader of government business and the member for St. David, that is Deacon Mitchell, that there were members on their side who also did not receive documents. It was clear, though, that the Prime Minister received those documents, because he said he understood when he got to the Parliament the morning of the 28th of October that some members did not receive their documents, which obviously means that he had his and he was not aware that some persons did not receive theirs up until they got there. No one from the opposition received documents. No one. Now, as I said, the chairman of the parliament, he agreed with the leader of His Majesty's opposition when she said, she stood up and brought to their awareness that they needed to do the committee, to form the committees. And she said also that, after that, they could adjourn and go home, of course. But let me show you a clip. It is a long clip, but there's no way I could cut it, or else you wouldn't understand what happened in the parliament on that day after the speaker of the House was bullied by the member for St. David, bullied into submission. So much so, he forgot what was his role and what was the member's role, right? So he passed his duties on to the member for St. David. But take a look at the clip for yourself.
Mr. Speaker, may I raise on a point of procedure?
Go ahead, Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I got here this morning, I was told that the members of the opposition had not received the documents pertaining to today's sitting. I was under the impression that in light of that lack of basic notice that Parliament was going to be adjourned to ensure that the appropriate notice was given to them so that we have a proper sitting of Parliament. I am not clear if it is that the opposition is now no longer maintaining that position. And I'm not clear, frankly, Mr. Speaker, what's happening. Because it seems to me that we kind of all over the place. So I think from a procedural point of view, I actually was expecting that in announcements you would address the issue. Because either we're proceeding with the business of the House on the assumption that the issue of notice and the issue of having the documentation is being waived, or if it is being taken, and certainly for my part, I am not in a position to argue with the position taken, because it does appear as if there's been a wholesale failure on the part of the Parliament to make sure that members got the proper notice and the proper documentation. So I'm a bit lost as to why we are confirming minutes and all of that, because then it means we are saying Parliament is properly constituted. So maybe I'm missing something here. That's why I'd like the procedure to be clarified, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. We did discuss at length the issue raised. I discussed it with the members of the opposition. And so there is a position that the first sitting of Parliament, we are required to put the committees in place. We are required to do this. So, and in fact, the Committee of Privileges, right, needs to be in place because of what has been happening with the FROC's inability to function because the committee is not in place. So the idea is to get done what is urgent, Honorable Prime Minister, and then to seek an adjournment, yeah, for the bills and I think the resolutions. That's my understanding.
Yeah, but Mr. Speaker, that's the point I'm making. We hear that has not been communicated to anybody. I don't know that. And I still think there's a more fundamental point. If Parliament was not properly constituted, respectfully, this is not the first sitting. So I'm not clear as to whether or not the notice is being waived. So to my mind, you can't say I'm submitting to the jurisdiction and then I'm objecting to the jurisdiction. So what I want to find out from you, Mr. Speaker, procedurally, is whether or not, in light of my understanding of the issue that was raised, whether or not this is a sitting of Parliament.
It is.
And therefore, we are saying that the notice issue is not an issue?
It is. Honorable Prime Minister, you may move that Parliament be adjourned now, right? But it is a constituted sitting.
But Mr. Speaker, is it for me to move? If you're the Speaker and it has been brought to your attention that notice has not been given.
Notice of what?
Well, my understanding, unless I'm wrong, is that both the order paper and all of the documents pertaining to today's sitting,
correct,
either have not been received or was sent by an email with a link yesterday to the members. I'm saying on that basis alone, Mr. Speaker, unless the members were saying we are waiving the procedural irregularity and proceed, and I don't hear that they are, but I'll be guided, then it ought, in my view, Mr. Speaker, to have been appropriate, obviously out of courtesy, because people are here and people need to know what's happening. But that after you entered at the announcement, you indicate that this is the position and that the matter be adjourned to a date to be fixed so that the appropriate notice and documents can be received. So that's my understanding of what should have happened, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, may I?
Honorable MP for Tongue of St. George.
Mr. Speaker, I rise just in response. I don't know anything of the background, but just in response to one phrase, sentence used by my learned friend. You can't waive that. It can't be waived. If it's the rule, it's because there's a procedure for changing the rule, which is not simply a waiver. So I'm just saying that in response, but I don't know the background to the issue.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, in relation to the matter at hand, I think the agreement was that we are going to go through the committees, which is a requirement for the first sitting of Parliament, and that list was circulated prior. I totally agree. Anything that we did not have documentation for should not be discussed this morning or raised this morning. And so I would want to recommend, Mr. Speaker, that we move immediately to the committees, setting up the committees, and then to adjourn.
Hold on, Honorable.
Sure.
According to the other paper, we should be on item number 14, right? So the intention was to get the committees passed. So it's really the leader of government business. If members don't feel comfortable, then a motion may be put to the floor and we adjourn. Yeah. So it's really the next item is 14 motions. I now wait on the leader of government business.
May I, Mrs.
No, just hold. Leader of government business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having only received these documents officially from the Parliament of Grenada yesterday, the 27th of October, on a link that points us to a number of other documents, not all pertaining to this particular sitting. And considering the fact, Mr. Speaker, that in order to properly debate these bills and resolutions, members must have the information at least 7 days prior. I now move that this Honorable House be adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
Let me just, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to augment what I said, I move that the Honorable House be adjourned until next Tuesday, check the date, at 9 a.m. That will be on the 4th of November, 2025. So the House be adjourned. The motion is that the House be adjourned until next Tuesday, the 4th of November, 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, leader of government business.
Mr. Speaker, question. Do
Yes.
I rise now to do what I have to do? Or do I wait until you make that pronouncement? Because I intend to proceed as you like.
Yes, you wait. Leader of the opposition? Barely see your light.
Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the adjournment, I want to raise two things. I wish to ask that we review whether it's a requirement that the committees be established at the first sitting of Parliament. Could we review that? And secondly, the announcement, unilateral announcement, that Parliament would be next Tuesday. Mr. Speaker, we have been operating with a schedule, and I don't need to go through the reason why we are operating with a schedule. And I would have thought that because this House comprises of two sides, that there would at least be some kind of collaboration or conversation as it relates to the date for the next sitting of Parliament. Thank you.
All right. It's an important point. There is a motion before us. I did indicate that according to the standing orders, we need to form the committees in our very first sitting. But this was the initial intention, to get the committees out of the way and then adjourn. But there's a motion on the floor for the adjournment of this particular sitting to Tuesday, the 4th of November.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak to the adjournment, to the motion. Another issue, not my issue.
All right. Sorry about that, but I have been advised that if we do the adjournment now, the meeting continues on next sitting. Right? At the next sitting next Tuesday, the meeting continues. So, Honorable MP of St. George, you would not be able to speak because the meeting itself continues, I'm advised. Right?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to say something.
I just made it clear to you.
I know, but I want to clarify. Mr. Speaker, I understand, but Mr. Speaker, we're moving to adjourn this sitting, and I understand that it was said that it was not properly constituted. I need clarity, because if it's not properly constituted, there's one course of action, but if the sitting was properly constituted, there's another issue. If the issue was simply documentation, then the issue of discussing and debating those documents, it would be the issue. But if the seat is properly constituted, that's different. We're properly constituted, and we're asking for an adjournment, and as far as I'm concerned, we are allowed to speak on the adjournment. I'm not sure what rule it is says that the adjournment has to be another adjournment. Mr. Speaker, the issue I want to address is urgent.
Yeah, but
so it's an urgent matter of personal explanation.
Yeah. Honorable, you have your position?
Mr. Speaker, I want to just make a kind request that we consider or reconsider the date that was mentioned for the next sitting of Parliament, and to ask whether or not the opposition would be considered in the decision of the date for the next Parliament.
All right, so
Who's on adjournment?
No, we could do it now.
Listen, Honorable.
I'm good, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, this is pretty normal. I mean, if the opposition feels, as a matter of fact, we can just take a simple vote on that. But I'm saying, if the opposition feels that there's a more convenient date, they can let us know now. And we just agree. This should not be a complex matter. Yeah.
All right, so the motion before the floor is that the sitting be adjourned to Tuesday, the 4th of November at 9 a.m. in the forenoon. Right? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This Parliament is now adjourned until Tuesday, the 4th of November at 9 a.m. in the forenoon.
Now, you guys see anything that was normal there? Everybody's perplexed. Nobody seems to know what they're doing. Everybody who know what they're doing, when certain people speak, they get all jittery and doing wrong things. The leader of government business said that is quite normal. What was normal about that, right? What he wanted the opposition to do, and the government side, shout across the way, well, I think I have a meeting next week, Tuesday. Let's try Wednesday. That is not how that is supposed to be done. You're supposed to get up and go in caucus and discuss and let us see if next Tuesday is okay with both sides, right? Okay, that was not done. He then put it on the floor, and we all know the eyes always have it. So what's the point of that? I mean, I am no big parliamentarian, but it is clear, just following the parliament, some of the rules and what needs to happen. So the parliament was adjourned. The backbencher was ignored throughout the whole thing. He was barely able to leave his seat, sit down and shut up, basically, right? It's what he got from the speaker. But when the member for St. David's, and he's a member for St. David's in the House, he's a member, he's not the prime minister. They are all equal in the parliament. They are members, their constituency, MPs, right? But when the member for St. David speak, no dog bark, no dog bark. The entire parliament business would be up. So you can get, I had to cut piece of it, but I got you the meat of the matter, the meat of the matter. In an interview outside of the parliament after the adjournment, this is what the prime minister had to say in a conversation with the media. Compliments GBN.
Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell offered no new information on the U.S. request following the adjournment of today's highly anticipated sitting of the House of Representatives. The sitting was adjourned following the revelation that several members of Parliament did not receive documentation pertaining to the bills tabled for discussion. Speaking to GBN, the Prime Minister said internal consideration of the U.S. request continues, and he had hoped to provide context during the sitting.
You know, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had put out a statement which essentially gave the specific details as to what the request was and the fact that we were considering it. And the conversation continues because of the nature of what is requested. So, to a large extent, what I was intending to do is just simply provide some more context on the issue.
According to the Prime Minister, despite existing security cooperation arrangements with the U.S., the question of military cooperation requires extensive consideration.
Specifically, we currently cooperate with the U.S. on a whole range of security issues from a policing point of view. Through the DEA, the ATF, CARICOM impacts, the JRCC, the RSS, all of this is done in conjunction with the U.S., including Southern Command or Coast Guard. So there's ongoing constant policing cooperation within the ambit of, or international cooperation within the ambit of Grenada's national security architecture. So that is sort of currently where we are. We even have things like a gun crime intelligence unit that operates within the region that shares intelligence on those issues. Grenada doesn't have a military, obviously, so military cooperation is a completely different species. And to that extent, even the RGPF, obviously, why you may call the police a quasi-military unit, it is not. It is essentially a law enforcement unit. So from that perspective, that's part of the reason why the conversations are ongoing, because this is not a policing request in the context of the normal security policing cooperation that we have.
While a decision is not expected to be announced, the nation waits with bated breath for the Prime Minister's comments at the sitting of the House next Tuesday.
Hopefully, all of the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's will be done so that when we get here next Tuesday, I'll be able to do so.
Reporting for GBN News, I am trainee reporter Deidre Seeley.
No point in waiting with bated breath, unless something a miracle happened. Because if you listen to what the Prime Minister said, he said the conversation continues, and and that what he had intended to do was just to provide some context. We wasn't getting no yay or nay. That is clear. I guess the legislations have to be tabled before the yay or nay. So there we were, people tuning, everybody waiting, believing that we were going to hear yay or nay. Nothing so. Nothing so. The Prime Minister manipulated the sitting to get it adjourned. He had no announcement to make, and that is just another way of buying time. Was this fiasco a coincidence or deliberate? In my mind, utter disrespect to the nation. We are being held hostage by the Prime Minister, waiting on an answer. Months. Remember, this started in August. This should tell Grenadians all they need to know. So, we're moving on to an update. There's an update on the Tafawa pair story. So, those of you who, in defense of the beloved Prime Minister, who take on their own, I have to say, saying that the Prime Minister will not say such and the Prime Minister will not do such. But he did. He did for the former government minister, Jonathan Lecret, didn't he? Saying he had lost confidence and trust in Minister Lecret then. But you see, there's nothing like, sir, and you know, here on Simon Says is where facts come first. In my possession, I have 3 letters of correspondence between Mr. Tafawa Pair and the commission, the Public Service Commission. Added to the letters, I have a further back, but let's deal with the letters first. Now, I'll do the first paragraph in this letter. This letter dated the 6th of February 2024. And it came from the Public Service Commission, St. George's, Grenada, West Indies. Dear sir, Mr. Tafawa Pair, Superintendent of Police, Royal Grenada Police Force. Following the meeting held between the Commission and yourself on Monday, February the 3rd, 2025, I am directed by the Commission to inform you that in light of matters discussed, your acknowledgement to the best cause of the interest of all parties and to facilitate the efficient operation of the Royal Grenada Police Force, you should proceed on retirement as an offer of the Royal Grenada Police Force. The Commission will accordingly commence with the administrative arrangements as provided for in the laws of Grenada for your retirement upon the expiration of the balance of your leave entitlement. Your retirement benefits will be dealt with under the provisions of the relevant legislation. In this regard, you are kindly advised to contact the Human Resource Personnel Unit in the ministry. I am further directed by the Public Service Commission to convey its appreciation to you and your service as a member of the Royal Grenada Police Force. Yours faithfully, and it is signed by a Miss Marisa Francis, Chief Personnel Officer, Acting Chief Personnel Officer, and it's to Mr. Tafawa Fair, the Permanent Secretary, and a number of other persons. Now, on the 11th of February 2025, Mr. Tafawa Pair answered to the letter received, and he said, Ms. Maurice Francis, Chief Personnel Officer, Public Service Commission, Young Street, St. George's. Dear Madam, Mr. Tafawa, Superintendent of Police, Royal Grenada Police Force. I have received your letter dated the 6th of February 2024, which I assume should have been 2025, regarding the meeting I attended at the behest of the Public Service Commission on Monday, the 3rd February 2025. The discourse of the Public Service Commission with me was to inform me that as my wife, Emmeline Pear, is now the leader of the opposition party, that the current Minister of National Security and the upper echelon of the Ministry of National Security have consequently lost confidence in my ability to perform my duties as the police force, in the police force, and that I am therefore a risk to national security. No other reasons were advanced for the loss of confidence and the alleged risk that I present. As such, a request is being made for me to retire from the police force. I expressed to the Commission great disappointment with respect to the representations and assumptions being made about me after my many years of unblemished service to the police force. Also, that on examining the request being made to me, I must consider that I have a family to provide for and that I do not wish to place my family on the breadline. Consequently, the third to fourth lines of paragraph 1 in your 6th February letter, which states your acknowledgement of the best course in the intent of all parties, is inaccurate, as there was no such acknowledgement. My ability to pursue retirement at this stage of my career is hinged on the Commission's willingness to compensate me in addition to the normal regulated benefits, which means for minimum 8 years up to the compulsory retirement age of 60 years, or to some negotiated compromise. Having regard to the foregoing, I seek clarity on the matter to compensate the benefits before any engagement with the Human Resource Unit or retirement application is submitted. Yours faithfully, Superintendent Tafawa Pear. Then they wrote back, it's a bit long and we're running out of time in a way. We will run out of time. So, but they wrote back to Mr. Pear and they said the Public Service Commission expressed its gratitude for your prompt response following the letter dated 6th of February 2025. I am to inform you that the Commission noted the contents of your said response for the purpose of clarification with respect to the contents of paragraph 2 and 4 of your letter. The Commission has directed that you be informed as follows. Contrary to your statements in paragraph 2, to wit, that the current Minister of National Security and the upper echelon of the Ministry of National Security have consequently lost confidence in my ability to perform my duties in the police force, and that I therefore a risk to national security. What was conveyed to you by the Commission was given your current personal circumstances and your acted and demonstrated support of your wife in her new role as leader of the opposition political party, the leadership of national security no longer has confidence in you as a senior officer and of the management of the Royal Grenada Police Force to discharge your duties impartially. There were no allegations made about you being a risk, neither was there any doubt placed in your ability otherwise to perform your duties in the Royal Grenada Police Force. Now, I'm going to stop here with this letter. Added to the letters, as I said, we do have an audio. However, we're going to give you the audio in drips. So today we're going to give you a snippet of that audio. Now, you called the gentleman to fire him, to force him into retirement, and then asked him to keep your meeting confidential. After you fire him, what's the point of keeping it confidential? What you going to do, fire him again? If you are proud of what you dished out to the gentleman, then why try to hide it? Why hide it from us? If it's okay, you thought it was okay to call him and ask him to retire because his wife is now the leader of the opposition, and you saw him walking in the town of Grenville with his wife, which you said you support because it's his wife, and but that the leadership, the higher echelon of the Ministry of Security, National Security, and the Minister of National Security, who is the Prime Minister, have issues with it. So, Mr. Pierre, when he met with the Commission on Monday, February the 3rd, 2025, and at that meeting was backed up by the letter on the 6th of February 2025, and also with an audio. Here is what the audio, the drip that I'm giving you this morning. You're going to get it in drips, the entire thing.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Have a seat. We wanted to relax.
I'm relaxed. The only thing is the letter didn't say I was meeting a group.
The commission. This is the commission.
I know the commission.
So did you interpret it to mean you were going to meet just the chairman or the CPO?
I think so. That's okay.
Yes, yes. Well, we are the commission. We don't act individual as individuals. We act as the commission. Yes. So I am the chair. My name is Deborah Sageman. I am the chair. Faith Thompson. Judy Benmore.
Bernard Twine.
James Alexander, better known as you. And this is the teacher's representative. This is the public workers union representative. These two individuals represent the government. Yes, Mr. Pierre. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for obliging and agreeing to make this appearance today. We will get straight to the matter, Mr. Pierre. As a senior official of the Royal Grenada Police Force, in your position as superintendent, you will appreciate that with the change of the status of your wife, in terms of her political endeavors, she's now the leader of the party, and she is conducting her quest to be successful at the next general election, of course. And you as her husband, we expect you to support her fully. And in fact, I don't think you have been shy about it. You are in full support of your wife, and this is reasonable. She's your wife, and you have to support her in what she does. Oh, one of the things I should have made clear, this is a meeting that we will appreciate will be confidential between us. In your position and in your day-to-day responsibility of being responsible as one of the people in the management of the national security of the country, the whole aspect of confidentiality is important. So we appreciate the position you're in as a supportive husband, which is very good, very good. What the issue is, Mr. Pierre, the leadership of national security in the country, which includes, of course, the top management of the force, the minister, everybody, they have to have confidence in you as a fellow senior member. And from everything that has happened since your wife became the leader, it is quite clear that your intention is to support her fully. And that is appreciated by all of us here. In fact, we want to support you in that endeavor. In those circumstances, we think some serious decisions have to be made. Now, when we checked your personal file, we see that you have given your entire career before. You are in excess of 30 years from the record of service. And you are over the age of 50. What that means is you can ask to be released and to get your benefits, your full benefits that you work for. So that is where we are, sir, and we would like to hear what you have to say in terms of where you think you are with your career.
Now, Mr. Pierre met with the commission was Ms. Deborah St. Bernard, the chairperson, directors or commissioners, I'm not sure you call them, Faith Thompson, Judy Benoit, Bernard Antoine, and James Alexander. On Sunday, the 26th of October 2025, complements the Bob report, Attorney at Law James Bristol looked at Mr. Tafawa's pair's situation through legal eyes. And that is Attorney at Law KC, Mr. James Bristol. Now, here is Mr. Bristol on Mr. Pear's constitutional rights.
Was Mr. Pear's constitutional rights violated, first and foremost, by the manner in which, based on his telling of the story, again, we have his telling of the story, we do not have the Public Service Commission's telling of the story. As I understand it, members of the Public Service Commission cannot speak to the media in the way that other public service, public workers can, right? But was his constitutional rights violated here? And if Mr. Pear wanted to bring a class action lawsuit against the government of Grenada, would you advise him to?
Well, in the first place, the Section 84 of the Constitution applies to Mr. Pear being above the rank of sergeant in the police force. So the appointment, discipline, removal provisions apply to him on 84. Now, removal in the Constitution from office can only mean removal for cause. And that's been decided by the courts. So you can't just remove somebody. Okay? Now, somebody's employment could come to an end by resignation, by effluxion of time, you reach the retirement age, and also for disciplinary matters where you go through the correct procedures and the person is terminated. Now, a public officer, which is the term used in the Constitution, of which Mr. Pear was one, cannot be forced to retire. The retirement could be voluntary or by effluxion of time attaining the retirement age. So the documents I have seen indicate that Mr. Pear was told, despite his exemplary service and commendations, and that his services should come to an end because his wife of many years, he didn't say that in the letter, but that's what Mr. Pear said, his wife of many years. They said in the letter that his wife is the leader of the opposition. So they want him out. Now that is a lot of hogwash. First, there can be no conflict of interest situation there. First, let's just deal with the conflict of interest. If the government perceives there's a conflict of interest, there's no conflict of interest. There can only be a conflict of interest if the leader of the opposition is accused of some offense and he has to investigate. Then he recuses himself from the investigation. He doesn't lose his job. Okay, so that takes care of that. Secondly, the forced removal by forcing him to retire is unconstitutional because of the protections afforded by Section 84 of the Constitution, which are there for a reason.
Attorney at Law James Bristol QC continued to say,
and I find that really, really sad that we have received a new administration has taken the reins, and we are not seeing the adherence to the rule of law, and that is sad. It's sad for a country because we boast about 50 how many years of independence, but we're not given credence to being a mature, independent country deserving of the respect that the government says we should have because we've attained so many years of political independence. And it's sad. And as Daisy said, the other thing is that the removal from office will come by way of abolition of office, and Section 84(8) of the Constitution speaks to reorganization or abolition of office, and then you would be treated as if you've reached the full retirement age, and even if you work one day. And that's not the case. There was no reorganization, and it's not in the correspondence. It's just on the basis that his wife is the leader of the opposition. And that's a no-no. Okay? He was bullied into demitting office. They had no authority to do so. It was not a disciplinary matter. They said so. So we don't have to go into the disciplinary proceedings, all right, because that doesn't arise. And in any event, if it was to be disciplined, a disciplinary matter, it had to go through the disciplinary tribunal, and that was never set up. But that doesn't really apply. So the Public Service Commission, in my view, have behaved in a very underhand, overreaching, unconstitutional manner. And notwithstanding that Mr. Pear, and I don't have all the facts, may have succumbed to the pressure and reached a monetary settlement and said, all right, well, I'll go in the circumstances.
Right.
As you can well imagine, that does not prevent him from seeking to enforce his constitutional rights. Okay? Because you cannot, as a matter of public policy, contract out of statutory rights which are there for your protection. Okay? That's a policy that courts apply. So in my opinion, he can still take action against the government for what are called vindicatory damages to vindicate him because of the overreaching by the Public Service Commission, in other words, the government, in having him retire. So notwithstanding he may receive some monies, whether it's pension or otherwise, I think he's still entitled to sue for damages for the breach of his constitutional rights.
Now, in reference to the Minister for National Security and the higher echelon of the RGPF losing confidence in Mr. Pierre, this is what counsel had to say.
And that goes to the question of trust and confidence. Now, Mr. Pierre is alleging that the Prime Minister indicated that he lost trust and confidence in him in the context of policing. In the context of policing,
but there was no allegation of any misconduct. So I mean, what causes his trust and confidence? The fact that his wife is the leader of the opposition. That's what they told him.
Right. Yes.
How does that make you lose trust and confidence?
Right.
What does that do?
Right. But Mr. Hazard, I want to bring you back here. Does the public serve? What are the rules concerning allegations of conflicts of interest? In other words, some may say that there might be a conflict of interest issue here, and I see the council.
No,
yeah,
no.
Yes.
The rules and regulations of the Public Service Commission do not lay out any grounds for misconduct with, and you say conflict of interest, and I want to go straight to the heart of the matter.
Yes.
Mr. Pierre alleges that he was told that he was fired because his wife is the opposition leader and he's been seen in a company. He's a consort. And there are no articles, there's no rules, there's no regulation within the SRO that allows for an officer to be reprimanded or to be found guilty of misconduct because such a person accompanies their partner, even if that partner is the opposition leader of Grenada. And I think we ought to understand as well that the office of the opposition leader leader in Grenada is a constitutional position.
Yes.
And so I want to go back again to
Mr. Pierre has a right to
and misconduct. I want to go back again to Mr. Pierre and misconduct, whether or not there was some misconduct. I want to read from my notes here because I want to be very careful. There are grounds for misconduct, and it should be that you have committed a crime or you've been found guilty of a crime, you've been convicted, you have committed fraud, you've breached integrity standards, public integrity in Public Life Act Grenada, and several things like that. But there is nowhere within the rules and regulation that you will find an article which speaks to conflict of interest in that manner.
Now, still, according to Counsel James Bristol, what are the grounds for dismissal?
Again, it has to be after procedures have been followed, that you have written to an officer to say that we find you, or there are allegations about misconduct in this manner, that the procedural hearings happen as laid out in the regulations, and that the commission may retire the employee from public interest according to Regulation 45. And if there are grounds for dismissal, the officer can be retired. There are grounds which speak about moral turpitude, conviction, imprisonment, failure to respond to something in writing from the Public Service Commission. But I've seen nothing in my research. We have seen nothing which speaks to conflict of interest because of who your partner or your spouse is.
Yes,
I think the point is this.
Something. Yes.
There was no allegation of wrongdoing. The letter from the commissioner, acting commissioner, hold on, I'm going to get it because I have it.
Yes. So while Jimmy is getting it, I want to say here, Dr. Bob, that there are conventions and articles, ILO international standards, which Grenada is signed on to, which should prohibit an employer from shotgun firing, from indiscriminate firing, from firing that inflicts professional hurt, because professional hurt can lead to mental issues. And as far as is possible, an employer should take care not to inflict the possibility of mental issues on a worker and professional hurt. When you fire someone shotgun, when you call someone into a meeting and say, we cannot keep you here, not because of misconduct according to the rules and regulations, but because of a perception or what we believe, if that is the case, that contravenes the laws of Grenada. I do not know if Mr. Pierre's claims are exactly as he puts them out there. I do not believe that the Public Service Commission can come forward to say anything, because it's supposed to be an inviolate body, and a body that's above reproach, a body that is sacrosanct to protect employees and workers in Grenada from especially political excess. That is part of the role and the mandate of the Public Service Commission.
That is indeed the role and mandate of the Public Service Commission, but we have a political Public Service Commission, or certainly a political leaning Public Service Commission, because this is a political, on the evidence, this is a political move. Now, you know, let's get to the point. There was no allegation of wrongdoing. I'm reading from signed by Commissioner of Police Acting, certificate of discharge. His conduct and character while in the force was, in bold capitals underlined, highly commendable. The letter from the Public Service Commission was conflict of interest. His wife is leader of the opposition. There is a letter from the Public Service Commission where they got it completely wrong. So I don't know who advised them legally, but they claim that under Section 6 of the Pensions Act, Cap 233 and 6.6ab, 6 little a, little b in brackets, that they say this, he's entitled to a pension on retirement or after the age of 55, or in accordance with Section 6ab, on after completed 26 years and 8 months, continuous service respective age. You're eligible and will be retiring on the latter provision. These provisions in Section 6 of the Pensions Act refer to eligibility to pension. They don't say that you retire because you meet those eligibility criteria. But what they are saying is because you meet the eligibility criteria, you are therefore retiring under that section. And that's wrong. They don't even know what they're talking about. I don't know who's the legal advisor on this matter when they did this, but it's pretty poor if they got legal advice, and it's pretty poor if they didn't take legal advice.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're in a monkey pants. I mean, put it colloquially.
Full stop. The end. I'll say here, all I'll say here is to be continued. Now, you guys might remember the donation of cricket kits to the Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell by Dangote, Aliko Dangote, the richest man in Africa. This happened, or was announced rather, months ago. In fact, exactly 1 year ago, the Prime Minister received this gift from Aliko Dangote. Was it reported to the Integrity Commission? That's a question to be answered. Lately, in a flyer, the government announced the distribution of the kits. It reads, the NDC government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell, is proud to announce the distribution of 1,000 Dangote cricket kits across Grenada, Carriacou, and the Petite Martinique. That's a change of heart there from the earlier announcement that the kits will be distributed in St. David's. Now, here are some comments before I continue. Here are some comments under the post from supporters of the NDC government. Happy Vibes said, things like this is why Deacon Mitchell travels and If this is not transformation, then tell me what is. Kevin Howell motto: leadership of the highest level, the leader of the people. With your leadership, Grenada will one day become the greatest. Nana Piti, high on the plate, moving forward with the transformation. Cheryl Webster, this is the result of your travels, Honorable Prime Minister, to forge partnerships in order to ensure that our young people remain focused for a better tomorrow. Whilst all these praises, the country, our country, gone belly up. We've broken two teeth. You guys know that many? When they say I broke two teeth, we, the country Grenada, is broken to teeth. No cash flow, the place full of bush, all major projects stalled by roadside, roads build back better, houses, schools, we've been told, are ongoing with no brick, not one brick laid, nothing get off the ground. Contractors and service providers unpaid for months, teachers unpaid for months, hardware stores unpaid. Stop giving credit. Remember when Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell left for Rwanda, ended up in Nigeria, and a press release dated October the 7th, 2024, stated that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, who was traveling to Rwanda for a forum there, which was scheduled to take place on the 9th to the 11th of October, ended up in Nigeria. After videos and news items from Nigeria surfaced showing the Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell visiting Aliko Dangote in Nigeria. On his return, we were told then by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell that he received a gift of 1,000 cricket kits donated by Aliko Dangote. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell announced that the gifts will go to the Cricket Academy he started in his constituency in St. David's. Now, as we speak, the kits are being distributed to students throughout the island. It's a good thing that is being shared throughout the island and not just to the cricket club of St. David's. I'm sure our young ones would be able to put this gift into good use. Those of you who are interested in cricket as a sport, you know. So we talking now about his travels. Now, in an article written by Dr. Justin Peer, labor market statistician, he spoke of the traveling and the cost of the traveling of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell from June 2022 to October 2025. Now, since assuming office in June 2022, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell has reshaped the tone and tempo of Grenada's foreign policy in less than 4 years. He has emerged as one of the most internationally active leaders in the Caribbean, often seen addressing world leaders, climate summits, and investment forums. Available government records, media reports, and international registries indicate that the Prime Minister has departed Grenada for overseas visits approximately 51 times between June 2022 and October 2025. This equates to about 2 trips per month, with an estimated 408 days spent abroad, roughly 1/3 of his total time in office. For a small island development state with a population of just 123,000, such frequency is unprecedented. Traditionally, Grenada's leaders attended one or two major summits annually. By contrast, Mitchell's schedules reflect a strategy of continuous visibility, seeking to position Grenada as a globally engaged investment ready microstate. I'll take that again. Seeking to position Grenada as a globally engaged investment ready microstate. However, his degree of engagement comes at a financial and administrative cost. With first class airfare now averaged at 3,000 USD per person and a typical entourage of 6. The airfare component of each trip totals USD $18,000. When lodging per diems, local transport, security, and protocol costs are added, each mission costs between USD 35,000 to 45,000 over 51 trips. This represents a cumulative expenditure of roughly USD 1.8 million, 2.3 million, equivalent to EC 4.9 to $6.2 million should travel, but whether each journey equivalent to EC 4.9 to 6.2 million estimated cost of the Prime Minister's visit from 2022 to 2025. Now, while this may seem modest by large country standards, as a patriotic Grenadian, the author believes that the impact is magnified in Grenada's economy, whose 2025 national budget stands near EC $1.5 billion, the equivalent of over EC 5 million spent on travel would alternatively fund a year's supply of medical equipment for the General Hospital or renovate multiple rural schools. Ultimately, the cost of Deacon Mitchell's international travel, approximately USD 1.8 million to 2.3 million over 3 years, is not just a budgetary line item. It is a reflection of governance, priorities of Grenada. The issues is not whether the Prime Minister should travel, but whether each journey demonstratively advances the national interest and justifies the resources invested. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell has emerged as one of the most internationally mobile leaders among all small islands development states worldwide. Within a span of 1,215 days in office, he has embarked on 51 overseas trips, averaging 2 per month, with each mission lasting approximately 8 to 10 days. This equates to an estimated 408 days spent abroad, or roughly 1/3 of his total tenure in administration. The Prime Minister has spent over 50% of his monthly working days out, about 11 out of 22 days per month outside the country. No other Caribbean leader has matched this level of foreign travel intensity. In partial items, this means that Grenada, a nation of just 123,000 citizens, has operated without its head of government physically present for nearly 10 days every month. While these frequent trips underscores his proactive diplomatic approach, they also raises serious questions about the balance between international engagement and domestic governance, especially in a state with limited human and administrative capacity. The composition and character of Prime Minister Mitchell's travel also distinguish his administration from its regional counterparts. Each official mission is typically accompanied by a 6-member delegation, which often includes his chief of staff, his press secretary, security personnel, advisors, photographers, aides, and the protocol officers. Travel is usually conducted in first-class cabin or via chartered private aircrafts, placing these journeys among the most expensive per capita in the Caribbean. A comparative regional analysis further highlights the exceptional nature of Grenada's travel record between 2018 to 2025. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley undertook approximately 93 trips over 7 years, averaging around 13 per year at a relatively modest $15,000 per trip. By contrast, Mitchell's shorter tenure already accounts for nearly 60% of Mia Mottley's total trips, but at a much higher cost of US dollars 35,000 to 45,000 per trip, totaling an estimated USD 18 to 23 million, or EC 4.9 to $6.2 million. Larger economies, such as Trinidad and Tobago, reported overall government travel and expenditures nearing US dollars 250 million over 5 years, but those costs are spread across multiple ministries. When adjusted for population and the GDP, Grenada's per capita expenditure on prime ministerial travel ranks among the highest in CARICOM, underscoring both the ambition and the financial strain of Prime Minister's extensive global outreach strategy. Now, when Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is away, the economic and administrative effects of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell's frequent overseas travel are not merely political. They are quantifiable in terms of lost output policies, delays, and efficiency decline, with the Prime Minister personally holding 9 ministerial portfolios, including infrastructure, civil aviation, public utilities, and national security. His absence from the domestic policy arena generates measurable coordinations, deficits based on 1,215 days in office and with 408 days spent abroad. Grenada operates without direct executive oversight for nearly 34% of the government's effective working period. This has systematic implications for the country's fiscal management, project implementations, and infrastructural responsiveness. When the Prime Minister is out of the country, important government work slows down. Decision that needs his approval, such as signing of projects, coordinating between ministries, and monitoring how public money is spent, often gets delayed. An economist professor from a famous university in Canada estimated that the Prime Minister time is very valuable to the country. If we imagine each working day of the leadership is worth about EC 10,000, based on how much influence he has over spending and national decisions, then being away for 408 days means the country loses about 4 million EC dollars worth of leadership and decision making time. Hence the reason for his ministries low grades. And if we look at his ministries here, his portfolio, and we did that a couple of weeks ago, all of his ministries, except for one, which is information, are weak. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are weak, 2 of them are marginal, and 2 of them are moderate. And that includes his constituency of St. David, right? This is what we get from our Prime Minister. No matter the amount of advisors he has, but his ministries are performing weak for the most part. They are performing weak. Now, between August 8th and September 30th, 2025, an independent research team conducted an extensive field assessment to understand how government ministries perform when Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is away from the country. Over this 7-week period, the team interviewed more than 60 individuals, including public servants, secretaries, permanent secretaries, project managers, and ministerial staff. In addition, a structured questionnaire was used to collect additional data on project approval, backlogs, communication efficiencies, and budget execution rates across key ministries. The analysis revealed a substantial drop in performance when Prime Minister is traveling. Each ministry's results were converted to a standardized scale from 0 to 1, representing the likelihood of operating at full capacity. When Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is in Grenada, ministries average 0.68 or about 68% efficiency. However, when he is abroad, that number plunges to 0.10, equivalent to 41% efficiency, a loss of nearly 40 percentage points in productivity. This means that for every 10 actions or approvals normally completed with the Prime Minister in office, only about 4 are accomplished during his absence. Infrastructure and public utilities are the most affected, with the Prime Minister's signature authority. Large public works projects stall and infrastructure spending slows, contributing to an estimated 0.3 to 0.5% GDP loss due to delayed capital investment. Now, remember the saga with the bribery happened when he was away? Remember that? Civil aviation and transportation face similar slowdowns as negotiations for airport partnerships, maintenance schedules, and road rehabilitation programs are put on hold. These disruptions translate to roughly easy 4 to 6 million in deferred work and reduce tourism-related revenues of 5 to 8%. National security also weakens with fewer directives issued to the police and the Coast Guard, leading to inefficiencies and higher overtime costs. Disaster management, a vital function in hurricane season, shows worrying gaps in coordination and readiness exercises. These shortfalls are estimated to cost the country EC dollars 2 to 3 million in lost preparedness and delayed response capacity. Other portfolios show mixed results. Home Affairs and Public Administration maintain basic operations under acting officials, but cannot move forward with major reforms or new programs. In these areas, staff describe a holding pattern until the Prime Minister returns. Now, when asked about his travels after the adjournment of the Parliament on Tuesday, the 28th October 2025, this is what the Prime Minister had to say.
Is not paid for by the government of Grenada. That's one of the policies over travel, that the travel has to be funded by the entities that are asking us to travel. Except for organizations like CARICOM or the OECS or the UN, where obviously we are part of the international global architecture that requires us to attend those events, then obviously we fund those travels. Other than that, the rest of the travel. So there's actually, in the majority of cases, no significant impact on the post.
According to the Prime Minister, the survival of small island states hinges on their global relationships, which he argued are cultivated during official visits.
And if we don't have friends, if we don't have supporters, if we don't have partners, small islands, the very existence of small islands is on the threat. From climate change, from the economic challenges that all of us face, from the cutting off of aid for many multilateral institutions, from the challenges to economic policies being pursued by larger countries, to the threat to regional and some international instances, international peace. So we need to focus on the issues that matter to our people and make sure people understand it and make sure that our survival depends on as many friends and as many partners as possible, always being there to support us and help us come through difficult periods. So I will finally say this point. People don't invite you if they don't want you.
The Prime Minister added that travel should not be seen as a luxury, especially by the nation's youth. He hopes to inspire young Grenadians to be global citizens. The Prime Minister cited examples of support received from the international community to demonstrate the benefits of his travels.
Our own experience with Hurricane Beryl, and thankfully the majority of the damage was concentrated to the north of the island and to our sister isles. If all 3 islands were devastated, we would have been in a lot more trouble. The people are going to help you. The people are going to come to your assistance. The people are going to help you survive these things are the people you build relationships with, the people you interact with. It's not going to happen sitting in a small island here. That is part of the reason why you have to travel. That is part of the reason why you have to go and build relationships. On Thursday, I'll be distributing 1,000 cricket kits to our sporting clubs, to our students throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. You can't sit in Grenada and hope somebody's going to give you that if you don't go and build the relationships.
Now, out of all this travel, what we get 1,000 cricket kits, and he's saying you have to go to get it, and the Prime Minister has to go to negotiate to get 1,000 cricket kits. Is that what he's saying? But what the Prime Minister failed to realize is that this matter is not just about cost. In fact, him spending half his time outside of Grenada, and that out of his portfolio, 11, including his constituency of St. David, 10 of them are underperforming. 6 of them are weak, 2 marginal, and 2 moderate. And that in his absence, the country is at a standstill because it is obvious he is running a one-man show. We can't blame him. And that according to Dr. Pierre's data analysis, the country loses about $4 million worth of leadership and decision-making time. We can't continue like this. We have one man, well, one actor in the movie. One actor in the movie. But also, it must be said that while the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell, traveled with either his security detail, or alone, or sometimes the CARICOM ambassador, Dr. Patrick Antoine, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell travels with an entourage, anywhere from 6 to 13 members, and they travel first class or chartered flights using private jets. Let's say what Mia Motley had to say about her travels.
I have done the total, and in 7 years, the total amount comes to just about 1.457 million across 93 trips, with an average of $15,000 per trip, Mr. Speaker. I don't travel first class. I go at the last possible minute and return at the earliest possible minute. I do not stay in luxury suites, as was the wont of many a minister before this government came into office. And Mr. Speaker, everything is here. Attendance, look at all of them. If it isn't CARICOM meetings, it is the UN meetings. If it isn't the UN meetings, it is the COP meetings. If it isn't COP, it is individual meetings that require us security. On occasion, I have done 1 or 2 speeches. And Mr. Speaker, if I were only spending money, I wouldn't mind. You might curse me. That 1.45 million, you know what I asked the PS to prepare for me too, sir? What are the benefits in terms of grants that this government has gotten as a result of that travel? Mr. Speaker, would you believe that this government, and I'm going to be fair, because when the ministry prepared this, they included one figure that came at the beginning of 2018, and I don't have nothing to hide. So I told the minister, take that $27 million out. 27.6 million and 83,000. Take it out. So subtract that from $146,887,000 in grant money. Not loans. Mr. Speaker, you know what grant money is? It's free. When you walk out of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, fella, give me $20 there. That is free money.
What also must be noted is that you see how Prime Minister Mia Mottley in Parliament, and she's just showing this is what we need. We don't need our Prime Minister to tell us that some of the trips are being paid for by the people who invite them. Yeah, that might be so, but tell us how many and show us the data. The opposition, since when Dr. Mitchell was still opposition leader, been asking for that data, been asking for it. To date, nothing. Why are you hiding? Tell us how much was spent. Tell us how much was spent. Now, as I said, it must be noted that Prime Minister, according to the statistician, Dr. Justin Pierre, more than 60 individuals were interviewed, right? Including public servants, permanent secretaries, project managers, and ministerial staff. So they're given the data of your travel expense, not what other people paid for you, right? And they know when travel was paid for or not. Besides, the opposition leader, as I said, has been asking for your travel data. Bring it forward, right? Folks, lest we forget, the Prime Minister's ministry, according to the government Grenada estimates of revenue and expenditure 2025, under vote 10, the Office of the Prime Minister, recurrent expenditure by standard object, code SOC, overspent in excess of $2 million in travel, hosting, and entertainment. Overspent over $2 million. On goods and services, approved estimate was $651,409. His actual provision spent was $2,274,331. He overspent in excess $1,622,922 in hosting and entertainment alone. His estimate was $90,000. That was his approved estimate. He spent $1,863,231 in excess of $1,773,281. Folks, and the Prime Minister, how about your monthly house rent of $20,500 per month? Who's paying that? Dangote? Nanan? Who? Who's paying that kind of money? The people of Grenada. With all this wastage, my friends, in a desperate call for help, I came across a plea for help on Facebook for our students in Cuba. In the words of a caring citizen who has taken the lead, our students, and I'm quoting, especially in Cuba, needs us now. They are far from home, battling shortages, rising costs, and limited access to essentials. The situation is too real. These are our future doctors, engineers, and nation builders. Nah, we cannot wait until it's too late. It's time to stand together and support them urgently. All those who wish to donate, please contact the Human Resource Development Division and the Scholarship Desk at the Ministry of Education, at the Ministerial Complex, where you can leave your donations. I believe I saw somewhere they were hoping to get a container out from Grenada to the students in Cuba by the end of October, which is around now. Please help if you can. Folks, I know it's rough, as I said before, for Jamaica, but a little will go a long way. It's a Humpty Dumpty situation we're in at the moment. All fall down. Everything on pause. In a meet and greet town hall meeting in New York, MP Karine James gave an account of her so-called achievements in the constituency of St. John. Of course, most of it were misleading and made as if it was all the former administration's fault, as usual. In there, she spoke of the infamous closure road work, which I'll share with you.
What I have inherited when I got into office was a lot of footpaths into people's private dwelling and a lot of back roads into people's private land and so, and there was no real interest paid into actual road connectivity for communities. And so what you see happening, for example, with the closure road is as a result of the neglect that has been happening. And there's a lot of other roads like that that are nearing to collapsing. We have the Mondo Road that is in Concord, that's on the southern part of the parish of St. John. That road has collapsed as well, and we have finally been able to mobilize the Ministry of Infrastructure to give us the support to addressing that road. But because of the what happened with closure, that project has been put on pause for now. Obviously, we are going into the budget timeline now, so no new projects would start. I don't foresee any starting right now, but definitely within the first few months in the new year, Mondo Road will be completed, and that's where, right?
Well, it seems like they can chew and walk at the same time. But we all know it's not about chewing and walking, and it's not about the closure road needing more attention. It's about the government being broke. Because as we speak, work on the closure road project has halted, right? But we're flying. 6, 7, 8, 10 of us flying to Nigeria and Ghana to party on a jamboree for the birthday and to meet new presidents and to wine and dine our friends in Africa, right? Our students in Cuba need food to eat, but we whining and dining, and the nation have to trump up. Ordinary citizen has to call out and plead for help for the students in Cuba. But when we got to go, we got to go, right? It's not about which project do first. They don't have the money to do none. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. The closure project has halted. Let's hear from the residents. This is the first time the residents of closure are really speaking out. They've been patient. They've been falling down in wet mud. They've been trying their best, but they cannot take it anymore. This is what they had to say.
Closure are calling on the government to provide information on the Closure Road project. The residents say it has been over 6 weeks since the project was halted with no information from the government or the contractor. They commended the government for being able to bring a stop to the heavy flow of water in the area while highlighting the effectiveness of the implemented shuttle system. MTV News team was called on the site on Monday, where some residents gathered to discuss the current situation in the area.
In my honest opinion, I honestly think that it is unfair to the people in Closure, right? Especially for the persons that traverse this road on a daily basis. Not only transportation-wise, but those that move around by foot, right? Persons with low vehicles have a tendency to have a lot of issue when you're coming in at the beginning, when you're coming from down, and at the end when you're going down, right? And coming up on this piece of clay here, this thing that they put there, you're skidding all the time, you know, and you never know when tragedy would strike when you're coming up on this piece of hill here, when rain, not only when rain or when sun shining, or there's other vehicles that has to take speed and always skidding to come up. You don't know when tragedy would happen, that a vehicle would slide and go down at the end of at the back of the wall and all this thing. It's been over 6 weeks. Nothing has been done here, right? And it is unfair to us that we have to travel in this condition. I'm living just 2 houses up from this project. So I can tell you there is nothing going on here. And honestly, this personally doesn't make much sense to me and the persons in Closure. We've been lied to, we've been treated unfairly, and right now we've been neglected, I could say. Now that there is nothing going on.
So we, the villagers of Closure, just want to know, what's the problem? What's the hold up? Why no work is being done? We haven't, questions have reached out, but no answers came back yet. So it's major disturbances. We have a lot of shops up here, and goods trucks can come up to supply the shops adequately. So it's a major problem.
It's difficult for when rain, the bus take the children up. I think that they should have put a bus shed or some shed for at least when the children drop off or the people drop off, because the bus have to wait until the rain over when it come up with the children or the people to shelter in that bus until then he could come back down to make another trip. So that is one of my recommendations. At least a proper shed should be put in place for us,
It's very dangerous now. It's very dangerous now because you see, I going down now and I got to go down just on a flow. So then we need a little more stuff to go in the road and build it up. You see where the farm work is, we need the concrete to go in the farm work and continue filling up the road that we get a better access to Guave and Grenville.
How inconvenient is it for you in terms of, doing business?
Well, it's inconvenient for me because I have some lands in Closure and certain things are coming up with I cannot come up here to the condition of the road, and certain times I don't come up at all because I'm a farmer, and certain times I don't come up at all because the condition, and if the rain didn't take me up there, I wouldn't be here because I'll be off the area. So I don't know how I'm going to make it going on, but I'm going to try.
But we understand the road project hold up, so we don't know what...
Somebody told me that the road project hold up to Closure. So I said to them, well, what happened? Finance, this, that, so I don't know. So we need an answer.
We can't pass properly. We have to slow down. Low vehicles cannot pass. The other alternative road, passing over Granitang, is a headache right now. Because the road over there, they're digging up the road and laying down pipes. So we need this road. Also, it's an issue with the tourists coming in again, tourism, the season coming. Where are the buses going to pass? No way for them to pass. We need it, and we hope something is done urgently. We call in on the relevant authorities to tell us something, because no explanation is being given to us. We need to know what is going on.
Business operators and farmers in the area say it is very challenging for them.
It's really inconvenient, and actually hold up the walking on the road about 6 weeks now. No work going on there, and look at the breakneck. Because right now I cannot see the road from where I am here. I'm just assuming that all is well because I saw it earlier, and yeah. Anyhow, we hope for the best, but And look at, as you could see, this sliding down gradually.
Well, the truth is that it's very difficult because especially now that the rain falls, people like me that have garden up there, it's very difficult, especially if you don't have a four-wheel drive. So while it appears to be passable, there is a sign saying enter at your own risk. So it's very difficult for villagers, it's very difficult for the children, it's very difficult for motorists. There is not enough signs either. So what we find very often is that people come up, and when they reach almost there, they realize that they can't pass. So we know that the minister came a couple times, I believe. She had a meeting one time together with the Prime Minister. But I suppose they're trying, but there is still a lot more to do. The people in the village, I mean, they're quite a bit timid, so they don't really speak up as they should. But I know in some areas, if that were to happen, you know, there might have been protests because people really, really need the road.
Now, what is clear is the deception of Corinne James to the persons in the diaspora. She must have known that while she's telling the audience that the closure roadworks is moving along, that the works had stopped for 6 weeks. 6 weeks and counting. And that the residents of Closure, the farmers, the parents, as they traverse to and from work, the children, the students, as they try to go to school daily, are all in distress with no end in sight. According to the news reporter, they tried to contact the Ministry of Infrastructure and was told a comment cannot be given at this time. Frankly speaking, Simon Says don't have the extra time to waste on Corinne James and her lies, misleading statements, the innuendos she left her audience with in New York. I mean, because it was a whole lot. But this is what's one of the things that stood out for me. Listen to this clip.
I forgot to mention that has been one of my biggest contribution back to my community and constituency. To date, I've given over $300,000 in cash as well as equipment to help my fishermen in St. John better their craft, help them be much more safer.
$300,000 in cash and as well as equipment. Corinne James' first job as a minister of government after the NDC took office in 2022. I say no more, except to be careful, little mouth, what you say. And as my mom always said, show off is an expensive thing. So we traveling and we always in the clothes and we partying and we having a good time, we eating and we dancing and while we eat, no, and we playing ring a roses, we hugging up, we holding hands. Molyneux Road project still not completed. The Cliff Road project, never ending. Clark's Road Bay, True Blue Bay, Jangley. I mean, and you can just keep calling. And this is in my vicinity, really. Right? In the St. George's area, in the south tip of the St. George's area. Work on the St. John's River, untouched since the NDC took office in 2022. And the people at the lower end of River Road and the stadium and the schools in the area suffers every time it rains. Parents have to carry their children across on their backs to the schools. And then there's the Concord saga, because right now that's a saga. The government of Grenada and the construction company CCI of Nelson Louison together has caused immense damage, heartaches to the villagers and the village of Concord. The Prime Minister and Minister of Infrastructure expressed grave concerns with CCCCI and the work produced on the Clift Road project. Now, CCCCI and its managing director, Nelson Louison, came under fire in the parliament. And the prime minister then threatened. It's like last chance, buckle up or buckle out, right? Then, if that wasn't enough, the prime minister, in a town hall meeting in St. Patrick, told the audience that the government will be parting ways with Nelson Louison and CCCCI. Because, of course, I guess after he made the threat, nothing significant happened. So he told the nation that the government was parting ways with Nelson Louison. Here's a clip.
Provide an update on the Woburn Cliff project. I will openly admit that my frustration and annoyance with this project is probably spilling over publicly because the project is now almost 5 to 6 months delayed. The team at the Ministry of Infrastructure, together with the consultant Safed, who's supervising the project, have taken a decision, and we intend to subcontract some of the work to accelerate the process of getting this road completed, and we will enter into discussions with the contractor for us to amicably part ways. Instructions have been given to the Permanent Secretary to seek to do so, but one way or the other, the rate of construction on this road must be accelerated because the due completion date is September, and if you pass the road, you will see the due completion date was this September coming, but if you pass, you will see, based on the progress of the works, that we are looking like September next year. And that is not something I am prepared to countenance. So we will do everything we can from our end to accelerate the construction, because the road was completely blocked off to specifically design accelerating the construction of the road, so you didn't have to deal with traffic management, and it's now over here that motorists have been inconvenienced.
Well, word is the gentleman and his company is still on the job because they couldn't get out that easily from the contract signed off on by Andy Williams. And the bribery, let's not forget the bribery. They were threatened. And so everybody just hush up. And CCCI was able to sign another contract with the government of Grenada. He said, written to CCCI to reach an amicable settlement on the Cliff Road project, as government has decided to subcontract to other private sector entities in order to finish the project. September gone, October gone. The project is far from finishing. It was obvious the Minister of Infrastructure wanted to have nothing further to do with Nelson Louison and CCCCI. So then, can you explain to us, Prime Minister and Minister of Infrastructure, how is it Nelson Louison and his CCCI company got contracted after the facts for the UK-funded water project? The same company the minister wanted off the project, the Cliff project, but they got hired for another government project. Make that make sense? Was that because of the contract signed off on by Minister Andy Williams? Was that so that Mr. Louison can shut up? I gave you a job, so you can shut up. The aim of the project is to lay pipes that would carry water from the Concord waterfall to the southern part of the island. but its excursion has devastated the community of Concord. Nelson Louison and CCCI, according to members of the villagers, the parties responsible for that part of the project are CCI and the managing director, Mr. Nelson Louison. They have operated heavy machinery throughout Concord, causing widespread destruction. According to residents, agricultural lands have been ravaged. Nutmeg, cocoa, banana, avocado, mango, and citrus trees are all destroyed. Homes have been undermined, and the village road network has been left in ruins. Homes has been undermined, and the village road network has been left in ruins. But most distressingly, villagers now find themselves without access to running water. Now, from the very beginning of the project lacked proper planning and was executed carelessly. The residents and vendors of the area saw the project as a decision to destroy the Concord waterfall, one of the last green attractions on the western coast. Agricultural workers have been unable to reach their lands, and it is uncertain whether the local businesses that once thrived at the waterfall will ever recover. There are also widespread doubt about the sustainability of the water source, both as a supplier of water and as a tourist attraction. Only NDC could mash up a waterfall. Only NDC. The original 8-inch pipeline has been replaced with a 10-inch pipeline, raising fears that it will drain the water source completely. And I've heard it from residents. They've been in the news speaking about it, being very worried because they've shown that, with the 8-inch, the water been dripping, much less now with 10-inch pipelines. In summary, the disastrous combination of a fraudster, a rogue company, and an indifferent government has unleashed severe hardship on the innocent residents of Concord, destroying the environment, their livelihoods, and their way of life for little more than a few dollars. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. As usual, we're out of time. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, trying to keep them honest. Thank you for viewing yet another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. See you next week, same time, same place, for yet another version of Simon Says. Don't forget to join me this evening on WeFM Radio for Simon Says 2.0, the radio version, our 4th episode. See you then. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.